Hello. Now that you know how to work with your character, with your sprite for an obstacle game, so the jump, the gravity that is bringing it down, keeping it on the floor, creating obstacles, giving rewards. So you're really ready to create a game, an obstacle game. When we create an obstacle game, what are the different strategies one should be thinking on? So things like how many levels do you want your game to be, right? It can really be massively long, right? 5 levels, 10 levels, 15, 20, 25. It's really unending. And people can really enjoy crossing levels and going up if the game comes up with different ways to engage the player, engage the user. The kind of obstacles, the kind of different maneuvers you provide to the player, the different rewards you give, the powers you give to the player, all this really helps the different levels become more and more interesting. Now, the other aspect you need to make sure is thinking through when does the player move to the next level, and at each level being able to identify it. And it's actually good to kind of create a table for each level that, okay, if you're really thinking of making a longer game, right? Like if you're just thinking of a few levels, it's okay. But otherwise, you'll tend to get confused. So it's a very good practice to start off by creating a simple layer table and say, in this level, these will be the kind of structure you will use. These are the obstacles, these are the rewards, and this is when the level will get crossed. This will happen and it will get crossed over. So that clarity will be very useful for you to have as somebody who is building the game. The other thing you can think is how you want to group it, like till what when the player starts. Will you always send back the player to level 1? Will you send back just to start at the level where the user currently is? Or you could create different groups of levels. So, the player could keep coming back to level 1 until it reaches level 5, then keep coming to level 6 until it crosses level 10, and so on and so forth. So there are different things you can start to plan, build, strategize. The more complex your game becomes, it's even more important that you do some writing down. Use a sheet of paper, create nice columns. It will help. Now, when it comes to coding, you definitely want to start off writing some clean code. Otherwise, very soon you'll be confused. We'll show you some very simple ways to maintain that. We are now going to come back and look at our game, which we just started to build in part 1. So, level 1 is pretty much where the baseline is at the bottom. In level 2, we have added a couple of more places for the sprite to walk around. In level 3, it's going up further, and in level 4, it has a different kind of jumps altogether. If you look at the code, we used a very simple, plain way to maintain this code, and trust me on this. If you are planning on doing a lot of levels, organizing it in something like this will really help a long way. So what we have done is we have made sure that wherever we recognize that it's going to change level, we are going to broadcast there that level is done. And in the main backdrop code, we are saying when I receive level 1 done, then you switch backdrop to level 2. When you receive level 2 done, you switch backdrop to level 3. When you receive level 3 done, then you switch backdrop to level 4. Yeah. So all this code is not going to be scattered all over your code. It's right here at one place. Now we come to our sprite, that is Chocolate, our player. And so here is where you can create some blocks. So we've got set to start. And this set to start right now is set to start at this position, and at any level, particular level you feel now you want to change it, you can accordingly make level wise changes. The basic movement staying common to all the levels, so that code stays same, right? uh, Now here you'll see the changes start to happen. So for instance, if we are saying that it's only in level 1, so now look at this code. So what we are using this code, and if you're not really familiar with using something like this, let me spell this out for you, right? So what we want to say that only when you're in level 1, you're going to, when you touch the bone, you are done with level 1. At other places, you may come across bones, but at that point, this is not the code which you want to run. That means you don't want the player to move to next level, or you definitely don't want the player to come every time to level 1 done just because the person touches the bone. So you want this condition. Now how to use this condition? I'm showing it level wise because it's a very reusable kind of condition for you. So we are using from control, we are using the if block, right? So this is the if block. Now what goes in this condition? Now for this condition, you need an operator. The operator we are using is if the backdrop that is of a certain level. We are using different backdrops for different level for ease. So we are using this equal to operator. Okay, and you can see this is the shape of the operator which your if will take it. Now what will come here? We want backdrop name. If it is level 1, we want this code to be executed. How do we get backdrop name? It is in looks, right? Everything to do with changing backdrops and costume is in looks. So you come to looks and you scroll down and you will see that you have these variables, costume and backdrop. So you take this backdrop. It's this shape is what fits into your operator. So backdrop, you can either use the number or the name. So for simplicity, just for ease of understanding the code, using backdrop name and equal to level 1. That should match your name. You can use few different operators, like if you want to use contains. So you want to say backdrop name if it contains level. So that means any level. So you want to say backdrop name contains level. So it could be any level and you want this code to be executed. So you can use this operator. So here we are using, so this what I was showing you comes under operator. But right now I'm just using the code for backdrop. So if backdrop name equals level 1, and this is when rest of the code gets written down. And similarly, we want to be very clear when level 2 gets done. So all that code has to be clearly written down. So for instance, when backdrop switches to level 2, you have to wait, and only when it touches this particular range safe box, then you broadcast level 2 done. And when backdrop switches to level 2, this is what you have started with. So make sure that for every level, now when you have broadcast level 2 done, what is going to happen? Your code is going to come, this code is going to get executed. When I receive level 2 done, switch backdrop to level 3. So now when backdrop switches to level 3, where do you want to start? What do you want to do? Okay? You all write it down. Once you have it neatly written by levels, it will be really, really easy for you to expand your code without you yourself getting confused. Now, for instance, in the bone code, so when backdrop switches to level 3, you've got very different code than when backdrop switches to level 1. So you have written a completely different code here for when backdrop switches to level 3.